You guys, it's been 11 years since we got a Scream movie, and I cannot believe the new Scream movie is finally here, and more importantly, I finally saw the new Scream. Oh, it was everything I wanted. It was scary, it was funny, it was emotional, the kills were brutal. It was just really fun and really exciting, and I loved it. Now, before I get this review started, if you could please like this video and subscribe to the channel. You better watch out, because it's time to get this video started. Let's go. Scream 2022 is the 5th installment in the Scream franchise. This movie just hit theaters, and this movie is directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. And the film stars returning characters: Neve Campbell returning as Sidney Prescott, Courtney Cox returning as Gale Weathers, David Arquette returning as Dewey Riley. We have new characters: Melissa Barrera as Sam Carpenter, Jenna Ortega as Tara Carpenter, and then Jack Quaid playing Richie. And the plot of this movie is 25 years after the original murders in Woodsboro, a new Ghostface emerges, and Sidney Prescott must return to uncover the truth. So this review will have spoilers, so if you have not seen the new Scream, I definitely don't recommend watching this video, because I'm going to be pretty much talking all spoilers in this video. You know, come back after you see the movie. But yeah, let's get into it. So first, before we get started, if you've been following my channel at all, I've made a lot of videos about Scream. It's definitely something I really love. I love the Scream franchise, and I made a lot of videos, you know, covering news on the new movie and even speculating on the movie as well. So it's finally cool to finally watch it. One, I loved it, but I kind of want to, before we get started into the review part, I just want to make a couple quick things on what I got right, because I thought that was cool. So one thing I got right, I made a video, and I think it's actually my highest viewed video. Is Skeet Ulrich returning to the new Scream? And I speculated that he was returning, and I got that right. I thought that was awesome. First of all, that he was in the movie, I thought was so cool. I was, you know, especially because Billy Loomis was such a cool character. Just to have, you know, the actor Skeet Ulrich come back to a future movie, I think was perfect. And I'm shocked he hasn't came back in some kind of cameo since the original. So that was really cool. I got that right. Then the second thing I got right was, I also speculated, I did a video speculating on what Sam's secret is. Why did Sam leave Woodsboro? And one of my, you know, speculation things, I said, could Sam be Billy's daughter? And the fact that I got that right was huge. I was so proud of myself that, you know, a couple of my theories actually were right. Granted, I made a lot of theories, so one of them was bound to be right, but either way, I was still happy. But yeah, so those are a couple of the big things that, you know, I've speculated that I got right, so that was really cool. Now, one other thing, one Easter egg that I want to go into is, I didn't catch this the first time I watched the movie, but when Richie is watching one of the stab movies on YouTube, in the right-hand corner, there's a clip, another video that says, interview with Woodsboro survivor Kirby. It says something like that, and it has her picture there. So Kirby is confirmed. Kirby lived, and she survived Scream 4. I thought that was huge. I thought that was awesome. And side note, I actually was I watched the live Q&A stream. So I went to a fan event, and there was pretty much a Q&A with the directors. And the directors pretty much confirmed that, you know, they love Kirby, so they wanted to throw that in there, that Kirby's alive, because they love Kirby, and they wanted to confirm, just like all of us, that she is alive. And then they said sorry to Kevin, because Kevin, originally in his script, Kirby was supposed to die. And then Kevin responded that, you know, in his original script, Dewey is supposed to die, you know, in the first movie, but Wes changed that and kept Dewey alive. So it's kind of the same thing with Kirby. So I thought that was really cool that, yeah, the directors, they confirmed Kirby is alive. And so, yeah, she could potentially come back maybe for Scream 6. Oh, I just thought that was cool. But now, let's get into the actual review. So, what did I like about this? I feel like I could make this video, because I love this movie so much, I feel like I could make the longest video ever and talk about it forever, but I'm going to try to keep it short and then maybe make videos longer if I want to go into more detail. But either way, let's talk about the characters. So for me, that's really important as a Scream fan, is the returning characters. So first up, I want to talk about Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott. Oh my god, first of all, Sidney Prescott, one thing that's really big for me is Sidney Prescott had to live in this movie. If she brought back and they killed her, I would have been so upset. And I can rest, I'm peaceful because Sidney lived. Sidney survived. Oh, that makes me so happy. And yeah, I love Sidney in this movie. I love that, Sidney is a mother now, and she's living a happy life, and she said she has girls now, and she's married to Mark. I'm assuming the Mark she's talking about is Mark Kincaid, who was, the detective in Scream 3. So I'm assuming Sidney got married to Mark Kincaid, and they have kids together. So I love that Sidney's character is happy, and it just made sense, though, that when Dewey got killed, she would come back to Woodsboro, and she would want to stop the killer. So I love that Sidney came back, and she wasn't playing. She was, there's a killer who killed her friend. She's not giving it a chance, the killer coming after her, so she comes back to Woodsboro to stop it. There were so many badass moments of Sidney in this movie. One, I loved her interactions with Sam, kind of a final girl to final girl, them interacting. I love that. I love her, interactions with Gale. Like, Sidney and Gale have come a long way, and I love that, they're both upset about their loss of their friend Dewey dying, and they're gonna team up together, and they're gonna stop Ghostface. I love that. And yeah, I just loved all her sequences. I loved her returning to Stu Macher's house. I love her, when she's going to each room and she's like shooting each room and looking for the Ghostface. I love that. It just, Sidney was a badass. And the whole kitchen scene with, at the very end, when it's Sidney and Gale versus Amber and they're fighting her was awesome. And then, yeah, I just love that. Now let's talk about Gale. I love, Gale Weathers in this movie as well. Her, it's sad that, her and Dewey didn't make it and they broke up, but it makes sense because Scream 4, they weren't that happy. So it makes sense that they did break up, and Gale kind of moved on with her career. That's something she wanted. So it was kind of nice seeing Gale back being in her career. But sad that her and Dewey didn't make it, and it wasn't necessarily Gale's fault. It was more, Dewey, he left her in the middle of the night. And that whole interaction between Gale and Dewey was really emotional, and it was a really sad scene, and you can tell Dewey really still loves her, but Dewey just kind of lost himself, and I just loved their scenes together. It was, Courtney Cox did such a good job, especially when you find out that, Dewey gets killed and she's crying. It was just so emotional, and I really felt for Gale in that scene. And one thing I said previously was, if Dewey got killed, Gale Weathers would totally be on a mission to hunt the killer down. You do not want to mess with a pissed off Gale Weathers, and I was right. Gale Weathers came to stop Dewey's killer, and I loved that, that final fight scene between Sidney and Gale and Amber, that Gale was the one who killed Amber, who did the final kill to Amber. I love that. She got justice for Dewey, and I just thought, yeah, overall, that was awesome, and I love that. We also got to see kind of Gale. She kind of was not as, at how she used to be. Like, she kind of calmed down, she toned down, she's a little sweeter, it seemed like, a tiny bit, than in the past. So you got to see a little bit of softer side, I feel like, of Gale in this movie, which I thought was cool as well. Now, next up is Dewey. I loved Dewey in this movie. One, I think they kind of gave Dewey the spotlight he deserved. He finally got the respect he deserved from these new characters. And it was really sad to see, what kind of the trauma that all these movies have happened, all those past events, how it affected Dewey. Dewey was not in a good place at the start of this movie. You can tell he was drinking a lot. He got fired from being the sheriff. But as soon as, push came to shove and these new characters need his help, it wasn't, Dewey jumped back into the mix right away, and that showed who Dewey really was. Dewey really was, a courageous person, and he died protecting these new characters. And I just loved that Dewey went out a hero. He went out, and if Dewey didn't save, come to help, Sam, Tara would be dead. So I love that Dewey, helped these new characters out, and it just showed who Dewey was. And I love that this movie really gave, Dewey the spotlight he deserved. And David Arquette did such a good job in this movie. I definitely was sad, though, when he died. I had a feeling he was going to die, but just seeing him die, it definitely was really emotional. Now, next up, let's talk about some of these new characters. So, as far as Melissa Barrera playing Sam Carpenter, I love Sam's character in this. One, the fact that, they made it so Billy so pretty much Sam is Billy's daughter. I thought that was a really cool twist, and it definitely made for an interesting character. Like, she's the daughter of the original, like, psycho killer, so it was kind of cool seeing her trying to run from that and being kind of haunted by not wanting to turn out like Billy. And I just thought Sam was a really cool character. She was really tough. I love that, you know, she was really protective of her sister, and I love the dynamic between Sam and Tara. And yeah, I just thought Sam was a really cool character, and she's definitely worthy of being a final girl. I loved her. I also love, you know, Jenna Ortega playing Tara Carpenter. I loved her character as well. I thought, you know, I had a feeling if Jenna Ortega was going to be in it, her character would be a badass. And granted, she did get a little hurt in the opening scene. She definitely fought back with Ghostface a lot. And she was like on crutches and in a wheelchair, but she was definitely fighting back with Ghostface. She was fighting for her life, and I love that. She's definitely, you know, a little fighter, and I loved her in the movie. And like I said, I loved her interactions with Sam. Another couple quick shout outs. I also like Mindy in this well, Jasmine Savoy Brown. As far as Mindy Meeks, I loved her character in this movie. She definitely reminded me of Randy, but different, because Randy, he knew all the rules, but I feel like Randy was kind of dorky. I love Randy, but he was kind of dorky, where Mindy, I feel like Mindy is the same thing. She knows all the rules, but Mindy was really cool. She was just a cool character, and I loved her scenes. Definitely all the scenes she was in, she stole the spotlight. Like, she was definitely one of my favorite characters of the new characters. I really love Mindy, and I love that. Yeah, I love that she survived, and she's going to be in future movies. I also got to say, Jack Quaid. I really like Jack Quaid as Richie. I really liked him in this movie as well. I thought he made for a really good killer. He was definitely funny a lot in the movie, and then when he turned out to be a killer, I feel like he did a really good job as the killer. So, as far as the characters go, that is kind of my initial thoughts on the characters. Also, I love that this movie honors Wes Craven and his legacy. So, like the fact that, you know, we had the character by Dylan Minnette, Wes Hicks, was named after Wes Craven. I thought that was really cool. And yeah, I love that at the very end it said for Wes. It just, you know, Wes was such a big part of these movies. I love that these new directors, it was really important about honoring Wes's legacy. I love that. Also, I gotta say, this movie definitely felt like a Scream movie, which I loved, and they did a really good job of bringing in old elements of the old movies and tying it to this new world that they're creating, these new characters, but still having it tied to those original movies. That was really important to them about making this movie kind of relate it to those other ones by legacy, and that really did that a lot. Pretty much all the new characters are in some way related to some of the pre-existing characters. So we had the twins, they were related to Randy. We got to see Martha in this movie as well, Randy's sister, Martha Meeks. She made a little cameo, so I thought that was really fun. And I just thought it was really cool. We got mentions of, like, Stu's nephew was in the movie. Just all these little things that, you know, if you were set in the same town, you might run into the relatives. So I love that there was stuff like that. I love that we returned to Stu Macher's house. I thought that was cool. Like, if you're going to go back to a Scream movie, the fact that they bring us back to a party at Stu Macher's house was awesome. So I really love that. I also love that, you know, the kills in this movie were definitely really brutal, and it was suspenseful at moments too, because you didn't know what was going on with Ghostface, but when Ghostface showed up, whoa, he really did not hold back. They did not hold back on the violence, but it was really cool. And yeah, just some of the kills were definitely crazy. The fact that when Dylan Minnette got stabbed in the neck, and the knife went through his neck, that was crazy to watch. Or Wes Hicks' character when he got stabbed in the neck, that was just crazy to watch. And just, yeah, there was a lot of, like, crazy scenes as this, but it was definitely brutal, but I didn't enjoy that. Now, I also love the whodunit mystery. That really focused on who is the killer and just really diving into who's the killer and who's that mystery and really trying to take the audience on who it is. I thought that was really fun as well, focusing on who is the killer and not really knowing who was the killer. And honestly, I was kind of thrown off. I didn't really know who the killer was watching it. So I thought all of that was good. And granted, as far as what I loved, I could go on and on about what I loved about this movie, and I probably will make separate videos and kind of go into more detail on stuff separately, but those are just the main highlights that I wanted to go over. I do want to talk about what I didn't like about the movie. Granted, I love this movie. The stuff I'm going over now are going to be a little nitpicky. Not huge, like, critiques at all, but just stuff that, I thought was okay. So one, I gotta say, the killer's motivation. The killer's motivation was okay, but it was a little weak to me, mainly because the killer's motivation was two fans wanting to recreate their favorite movie. Their motivation was okay, but I guess was expecting a better killer motivation because these characters were all based on past characters or related to past characters. I just thought the killer's motivation would have been better. I honestly thought, it was going to be, the killer was going to be a family member of one of the victims. So, like, if the killer turned out to be one of the twins who was related to Randy, they want to kill Sam because, because of pretty much, the killers, what Billy Loomis's, his starting of these kills, his mom killing Randy, that's why they wanted to kill, Sam, is because she's part of being a Loomis. So I thought it was going to be something like that, where it was more one of the survivors, family members, victims wants to kill Sam because, Billy or one of the killers took her loved ones. I thought it was going to be more something like that, or even Casey Becker. I thought the fact that we had Liv McKenzie, a character Liv McKenzie in the movie, I thought they were going to touch on that more, where I thought we're going to get Liv McKenzie. They're going to mention that she was one of the McKenzies that lived next to, her family lived next to Casey Becker and they were going to tie it back to that. Like, their family was really close, and she was upset that Casey Becker got murdered and wanted to take revenge on Sam because she's Billy's daughter, or something like that. I just really thought the plot of, like, the killer's motivation was going to be wrapped up more in the legacy, and I just feel like it was just a little, like, these killers were very random. They were just random fans that wanted to start a new movie, and they just used Sam as a way to try to do this. So I thought that was not my favorite killer motivation, but overall, I still had fun with it. Also, Amber's, like, I gotta say, I did like Richie as a killer a lot more. Amber as a killer, she was okay, but her character was really a little random for me. Definitely like Richie as a killer a lot more than Amber. Amber was just very, very random. Like, why is she doing it? I don't know, she's just some crazy fan on Reddit. I just feel like if we got to know a little bit more backstory of Amber, it would maybe make me appreciate her character a little bit more. To me, it seemed like Amber had a thing with Tara, and she tied Tara up, and I don't think she was trying to kill Tara, so it seemed like Amber did, like Tara, and she was trying to keep her alive, and she hated Sam because, Sam left Tara, so it seemed like that's kind of what Amber's motivation was, but they didn't really go into that at all. It was just kind of hinted, so I wish we would have got a little bit more backstory on Amber. She definitely wasn't my favorite of the two killers. I definitely enjoyed Richie's character a lot more. But overall, like I said, these are nitpicky. I had a lot of fun with this movie. A ton of fun. This was well worth the wait, and I really, really did enjoy it. But those were just some of my minor critiques. But what did you guys think? Oh my god, I just am still in awe that we got to see the new Scream movie. I definitely want to talk about this with you guys, so please leave your comments below after you watch the new Scream movie. Let's talk about it. One, what did you think? Did you like the new Scream movie? Did you like the killers? Did you like the killers' motivations? How did you feel about the legacy characters? Really, I'm open to any comments. Just please leave them in the comments below, and let's talk about this movie. And also, as always, thank you guys so much for watching.